you look at,
It could be a hard thing to do, but am I allowed? Am I allowed to?
I think you are, but I think it's problematic when you discuss it like that. You have a very narrow-minded point of view, which is almost it's not politically.
Wait,
okay.
how do you know that I'm narrow-minded?
Well, let me finish. So I think the political incorrectness comes from saying that viewing Islam as this giant thing with one set of ethics that you are addressing versus breaking it down into like many different viewpoints and different and so that way when you look at it that way, when you ask that question, that's a question that can be really digested. But otherwise, it's a question that's almost like you can't answer it. It's going to get an inflammatory answer one way or the other.
I just want to have the ability to be able to discuss it without being called some buzzword, Islamophobe, racist, or whatever they want to call me. But I want to be, because I'm talking from the point of view of the Quran. If you've read the Quran and the Hadith, the two major books in the Islamic faith, I'm talking about the verbatim language in those books.
Yo, there's some mad crazy stuff in the Bible. Have you read the Bible? Yo, it's insane.
I'm a Jew, so I have.
I'm Jewish too, man. I'm just saying, you can take passages from the Bible. The bloodiest, most.
But I'm not saying that. I'm not saying. But I'm saying we're discussing the. We can discuss the Bible. We can discuss the Torah.
Yeah.
But I'm right now discussing.
Yes. Okay, fair enough.
Independent of those other things.
Okay.
They have nothing to do with discussion.
Okay.
I'm discussing what is the Islamic doctrine. Okay.
Right.
And there is a distinctive difference between the Bible, the Torah, and the Islamic, and the Hadith and the Quran. In that the Bible was written by people hundreds of years after the events happened, right?
Probably, I agree.
No. The Quran, as accepted by Muslims, is the literal word of God. They will tell you, they will.
Not all Muslims, though.
Okay,
there's Christians who take the Bible literally. There's Jews that take the Torah literally.
Trust me, I've spent a lot of time in the Middle East. I've spent time in Iraq, in Egypt, in Israel, in Dubai, in Turkey.
As a traveler, or what were you doing?
As a backpacker and a journalist. And I will tell you that in Islam, it's not my opinion, it's not what I think.
Right.
But Muslims believe that the Quran is the literal word of God. God spoke these things to the text, and this is what God said. That is what the Quran is. The Quran is the literal word of God. If you're a Muslim, you believe that the Quran.
Every Muslim believes that it's literally the word of God.
That is the definition of the Quran.
Really? You want me to call one of my Muslim friends and ask her?
It's not a question of what you believe. That is what the Quran is. The Quran is the word of God. The Quran is the word of God.
So you're saying that you believe it is the word of God?
No, it's not what I don't believe. I have nothing.
There's many people.
I have nothing to do with the Quran.
You don't think that there's people in every religion who take their doctrine, their texts, their sacred texts as the word of God? I mean, I think
No.
religion, there's subsets that
Jews
do that.
and Christians believe that the saints or whatever.
No, Jews do not believe that at all.
They
Jews
don't
believe that Moses walked up to the top of Mount Sinai. He was
And gave
given
the 10
by
commandments.
God literally 10 commandments. That's what he did.
But do they believe that the rest of the Torah was written by God? They do not. They do not. And
there's not even a discussion. It's not about who did it.
The Bible was written
It's not like
hundreds
God
of years
wrote it.
after, and the Christians will acknowledge that. The Bible was written by.
Many Christians will not acknowledge that. Absolutely not. I mean, I know that it's been changed. You know that it's been changed. In Byzantine times, it was readdressed. But there are many Christians that
So, do you believe that racism is a real problem in the world?
Do I believe that racism exists? Sure, 100%. Racism exists.
And xenophobia?
Xenophobia in the sense that people, sure, exists.